Let's explore the render props pattern. This is an alternative approach for sharing logic between React components. So, what exactly are render props? It's a technique in React where a component receives a function as a prop. This function is then called by the component to determine what should be rendered. This enables flexible component composition and promotes the sharing of logic across different parts of your application. Let's break down the basic syntax with an example. We define a component called DataProvider that accepts a render prop. Inside DataProvider, we have some state, in this case a simple data string. The DataProvider then returns the result of calling the render prop, passing in the data as an argument. When using this component, we pass a function to the render prop. This function receives the data and returns the JSX, which in this case is an H1 heading displaying the data. Let's see a real-world example. Consider a MouseTracker component. This component tracks the mouse position on the screen. It uses the useState hook to store the X and Y coordinates of the mouse. The useEffect hook sets up an event listener for the mouse move event on the window. Whenever the mouse moves, the handleMove function updates the state with the new mouse position. The component then calls the render prop, passing the current mouse position as an argument. Now let's see how we can use the MouseTracker component. We can use the MouseTracker component and pass a function to the render prop. This function receives the X and Y coordinates of the mouse and returns an H2 heading displaying the coordinates. Another way of using the MouseTracker component is rendering a target icon that follows the mouse. The render prop receives the position and returns a div element. The style attribute is set, so it is positioned at the current mouse coordinates. The div contains the text, target follow me. Another way to implement the render props pattern is by using the children prop as a function. Let's define a dataFetcher component that accepts a children prop. The dataFetcher uses the useState hook to store the data and loading state. Inside the dataFetcher, we return the children prop as a function, passing in the data and loading state as arguments. This allows the parent component to determine what to render based on the current state of the data fetching. When using the dataFetcher, the syntax is clean and intuitive. The children prop function receives the data and loading state. Inside the function, we check if the data is loading. If it is, we render a loading message. Otherwise, we render the data. So, what are the benefits of using the render props pattern? Firstly, it allows for reusable logic. You can share stateful logic between components without code duplication. Secondly, it provides flexible rendering. The consumer component has full control over how the data is presented and styled. Here are some key takeaways about the render props pattern. Render props enable flexible component composition and logic sharing. Consumer components control how data is rendered and styled, allowing for greater customization and reusability. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.